faces. Hello. Thanks for waving at me, Tom and Lisa. Welcome. My name is Stephanie. Hey, why don't you shoot out some messages? We've got a pretty good crew on, but I know we can get some more. So as I get started, send out some messages to your teams and tell them to join us. We want to see their smiling faces. So welcome. We decided to do the huddle obviously tonight because so many people are traveling home from the Epik event, which was amazing. So really quick, if I do not know you, if I have never met you, my name is Stephanie Milkey. I'm tuning in from Florida. I have been a part of Prove It for over 8 years. My husband jokes and says he started the business and then he enrolled the best promoter. That was me. We only have one account. We're a team, but he always said like, yeah, I enrolled my wife. And then it was so great. We have 4 daughters and we love what we get to do. So as you're tuning in the chat, please share where you're tuning in from. I would love to see you pop in. And here's what we're going to do tonight. We are going to have people pop on that went to Epik. We're going to share some takeaways, share some action. So if you were there and you thought maybe you were just going to hop on and listen, I actually want you to, in a little bit, I want you to be brave and I want you to think about what was your biggest takeaway from the event and the action you're taking coming out of the event. I will tell you this. I was sitting here just kind of reflecting on the entire weekend. And of course, you know, our girls were like, what was your favorite part? And what did you learn? And I told the girls this today. I said, Prove It does an incredible job at connecting people. Like Prove It does an incredible job at making people come in and really bringing incredible speakers and just bringing the community together. I will tell you, just from listening to people at the event, I would say that the number one thing that people crave and people need is connection. And you heard people's stories and kind of some hardships that have gone throughout this year. And, you know, between celebrating this year and, you know, having people having some breakthroughs and awards and fun and the gala, and then just all the incredible education and mindset work from Joseph McClendon, from Master Co., and then Jamie Kernlima. Man, some incredible insight, super, super powerful. I would say my biggest takeaway was people need connection. Like we need to get together. We need to be together. I told my girls, I was like, we just have so much fun when we get together in person and we hear people's stories. You get to know the relationships and create some stronger relationships. And so it was super powerful. And there's some things at the end, once you hear people's stories that I want you to write down. Actually, I'm just going to have you do it right now so that if you have to pop off, I want you to write this down before we dive into takeaways. We actually have a virtual, if you didn't see it in your pulse, just make sure you've got it down and start telling your teams now. We have a virtual playbook. It's going to be January 20th. You guys, it's going to be incredible. And if you don't know what the playbook is, it's the playbook of how to build your business. So you're going to get all of the plays that work. You're going to be hearing from some new voices. And it's like how to do KLPs. What's a keto life party? How to do tables and booths? Like, what does it look like to connect in your local area? How do I do trial packs? Like, what is the power of, you hear people say, you know, it's the power of the ask. How do I ask people to join as a promoter? Like, it is going to be an incredible event. I think we say that about all of our events, so make sure to write that down. Also on the top of your notebook, because I know you're going to be writing down golden nuggets. If you weren't at the event, you're going to hear some great little tips. If you were, you might hear something new. Write down April 26th through the 28th. It is our More event. And unless I'm wrong, I don't think we actually had a spot yet. So I just want you to keep those dates blocked out. April 26th to the 28th. And I am telling you, I have heard more people that were at Epik go, I already have my ticket. I'm already committed. I'm already registered. I'm going because this was the best event yet. And so moving forward, I thought, great, we have like 120 days to tell our teams to get resourceful, to go sell something in your home, to save some money, to tell your family, like, this is what I want. This is what you want for Christmas. If you don't have a gift yet that you want from your family, you can go, hey, I really want to be able to go to the More event. So I'm gifting myself that. Wrap yourself a little box or put it in your stocking and go, I have a ticket to More, everybody. Thank you, family. Wouldn't that be funny? You should all do that to your families. And at the very end, I'm going to share about a challenge that we're doing community-wide. So I'll share more about that later, but I'm going to kick it to Mandy Mitchell first because she has a whole bunch of things that she wants to share. And then when Mandy is done talking, I really want you to start raising your hand. So I'll tell you what that looks like, but be thinking about what your takeaway would be and the action step after you write down Mandy's. And so Mandy Mitchell, how are you doing? It was so great seeing you.
Hello. It was so great seeing you. I am doing good. This is still the same hair that I had all weekend. It has not been washed. I'm pretty sure this is still eyeshadow right here. I mean, I just rolled into bed, woke up this morning and went into get down to business mode. Also, I may have made some Christmas cookies. I'm doing great. It was so great seeing everyone there. I am so grateful that people got an opportunity to tune in virtually as well. That was really, really a nice surprise. If you got to tune in virtually, let me know in the chats as well. Like, let me know live. I was there live, virtual. I was there virtually, or I didn't get to tune in at all. And that's also okay. Okay. FYI, that is okay. I've actually missed 2 events this year. Woo! They're the only 2 I've ever missed in my entire Prove It career. So it's okay, right? That's allowed to happen. So I'm so grateful for that. I do have a lot to share, but I'm going to share it very quickly and in a very short amount of time, which I know you're like, I don't believe you, Mandy Mitchell. If you've ever been on a Zoom with me, you're probably like, I don't believe you for 1 second. Just like I didn't believe that we had a hard stop at 6 o'clock yesterday, but I guess we did. I heard we did. It was like, get out at 6. So I'm telling you the truth. I'm going to keep it there, keep it short. You know, I asked Stephanie, well, what do you want me to share? And I gave her a couple of ideas and she said, share all of it. Kate, I know. I'm just like, there's no way you're stopping at 6. But he did. So I'm going to share all of it, but I am going to share it quickly and briefly. First and foremost, if you were there for the whole weekend, if you experienced the whole weekend, and specifically if you have experienced multiple epics like me, like Stephanie, this is my 7th epic. So also tell me how many epics you've been here for, how many epics you've participated in, live, virtual, whatever the case may be. Hold on, my husband I think is just getting home, so my dogs are going to be lunatics. Yep. Okay, I think it's okay. Hey babe, I'm on a Zoom, the dogs are going crazy. Okay. All right, so I see people who've been to multiple, and if you haven't been to multiple, I'm going to just give you a little bit of preface to what I'm about to say, or maybe I don't need to. When I first got started with Prove It, we had an aura, a vibe, an energy, and it filled my soul. We were just something else that I had never experienced before in my life, that I had never felt before in my life, that I had never seen in this industry before. We were something else. And I'm not saying that we haven't been something else or that we haven't had an incredible energy in between then and now, but there was so I want you to hear my heart when I say this, but there was something about this epic that made me go, oh my God, we are exactly who I fell in love with. We are exactly who I committed to. Have y'all ever, raise your hand if you are in a long-term relationship or you've been married for a long time? This is going to be my 25th wedding anniversary this year. Okay. Anybody? Raise your hand. Tell me something in the chat. Tell me how long you've been with your significant other, if you've been with one, or tell me what your longest relationship was. 30 years, 32 years, 17 years, 47, 22, 23, 25, 27. Have you ever had a moment where you're just like, I love you, but I'm not really sure I like you today? Have you ever had one of those moments? Or have you ever had one of those moments where you go, oh honey, This is why I fell in love with you. Oh my goodness. Okay. That's where I'm at with Prove It after this weekend, y'all. I am like, oh, honey, this is why I fell in love with you, right? It just felt so good. Anybody, if you, like me, have been here for a while and you felt that, let me know in the chat. It was like why I fell in love with us, but next level. We were so focused on servant leadership, loving each other, bringing to the world more than just the product that we sell. So it was just such an incredible energy to be in and to leave. So I definitely wanted to share that because it's just like totally filling all my soul pieces right now. I also, you know, I also wanted to share, I guess I'll share my I'm going to share a couple of takeaways and then I'm going to pass it on so that somebody else can share theirs. I love the people that we attract into our community. Jamie Kern Lima, I'm gonna mess up her name, I'm sure, a million times. Hopefully I said it right. She was incredible. And one of the biggest takeaways I had, and I shared this with Brian before I left, I had to leave a little bit early on Monday, or on Sunday, but I said, she went through this list and the 5 stages of success, the 5 steps you needed for success. Number 1, you need to know exactly what it is that you want. And you can apply this to anything, right? Like your relationships, your health and wellness journey, your business, your career, relationships with your friends and family members, whatever you want to have success in. What is it that you want? Okay, that was number 1. Number 2 was, why do you want it? You have to know why you want it. The 3rd step to success was that you have to take massive action, right? Bigger the goal, probably bigger action steps you have to take. Number 4 was that you have to believe that it's possible for you. Okay, and I'm not going to go into all of these thoughts because that'd take me forever. I could do a whole hour on this, I'm sure. And the 5th one is that you have to know you are worthy of it. And she really focused on this idea that most people really miss that piece that says they're worthy. And she gave this really incredible quote that said, turn the volume off in your mind, in your brain, and turn the volume up on your soul, because your soul knows you're worthy. It's your mind that tells you that you're not, right? And as cool as that was, Stephanie, that was not my biggest takeaway. My biggest takeaway, and this is what I told Brian, is that she got to number 2 and I went, oh, why am I doing this? And I say that was my biggest takeaway. It's because I realized in that moment that I've reached a place in my business where I have not redefined my why. When we first got started, I needed to make this work, and once I realized the potential that was here, my goal became making enough money to bring Jack home from work. And I needed to do that because my children were kind of going through it and I was not enough for them. And Jack being gone 12 hours a day was not going to see my children through the struggles that they were experiencing in junior high and high school. Deep challenges for our family. And he got to come home. And I genuinely believed that along being a part of our Prove It community saved our children's lives. And I mean that, I'm saying it very bluntly because I've done a lot of work around it now, but that was it was very challenging. So they're good. They're great. So many of you met my son this weekend. He's a cool kid. You'd never know he had talks of not wanting to be on this planet anymore. If you met my daughter, she talks me off ledges now. You'd never know that we had 2 children suffering in that way. So what's my new why? What is my new why? So my takeaway really is, Stephanie, that one of my takeaways is that I really need to figure out what my why is again. What is my new why? Now that we did that, right? We did that. And I think for a lot of us that happens like, oh, I need to make $500. Okay, well, have you made $500 ever in doing this? Okay, well, now you need a new why. Oh, for COCs maybe. Oh, I want to be a COC. Okay, well, you did that. So what do you want to do next, and why do you want to do it? And really get clear on our why. And then the very last thing I'm going to share, and then I'm going to kick it over to somebody else, is just this idea. I thought to myself, bloom. Why is this the theme in the middle of winter? Bloom. That's so stupid. Like, it's cold. It wasn't cold in Texas, by the way, but I was like, why is it we're talking about this? Feels like springtime. This is dumb. But then I really realized that it is about all of these different seasons that we can get into, and that we really do need to experience all of them in order to bloom. And that this really has been a season for a lot of us. And I think you said it at the beginning, Steph, just the more you talk to people, the more you kind of realize everybody's been going through a season. And I have this laundry list of things that could have taken me out of the game. I could have given any number of the things that have happened to me, and I'm going to change that word in just a second, but I could have given any of the number of things that have happened to me the power for me to just silently, like, I'm just gonna go work at Target and tell people where to find the Stanley Cups, right? Like I'm just, this is hard. This is challenging. This is emotionally exhausting. This is difficult. I'm not winning at the level I want to win. Let's do it. I'm getting old. This person's gone. This person left. This ketones are $3 more. We don't get a free box every month. Like, I could have, whatever, just make the list. Okay. The personal struggles I've been going through, like, I could have just made a list and it could have taken me out. I could have justified any of it. But in reality, Steph, like, that's what makes it so good, right? It's easy to choose this business when it's easy. It's easy to choose it when it's easy. But when it's hard and you still choose it, when you are challenged and you still choose it, when you go, this isn't looking exactly like I thought it would be, but you still go, but I love us. And I love this. And I love what I do. Like, it feels so much better. Like, I feel so much more empowered to go out and build what I want to build because I had to choose it in spite of, right? And it made me remember, like, those things didn't happen to me. They all happened for me. They were a gift so that I could go, I'm not letting it take me out of the game, right? I needed to go through that season. And so that was my biggest takeaway. And that's really what I'm going to focus on moving forward. And that's my action step actually for everybody is, I want you to think about this stuff. I really want you to make a list of the 3 or 4 or 44, if you're me, things that have been a challenge, because I want them to be a part of your gratitude list. I want you to be grateful for them. I want you to go, I'm grateful that this happened so that I can move forward from it, so that I can grow from it, so that I can choose my goals anyway, right? So that's my action step.
So good. Well, and it made me think there's a couple of things that they said all throughout the bloom, which I remember thinking the same thing, bloom, it's not spring. But Brian, if you're brand new, and Brian, our CEO, Brian Underwood, had talked about how, like, he had even been in a winter season, right? He talked about the industry. He talked about, the world. He talked about things like, he said, hey, a lot of people are working on reinventing themselves. And what does that mean? And really digging in and going, like what Mandy said, like, what is your why? When I first heard that phrase, just so you know, in the last 6 months or maybe longer, I've heard people say, reinvent yourself, reinvent yourself. And if you've been here for a while or not, like wherever you're at, and if you hear that, you might go down. I went down this rabbit hole of like reinventing myself. I have to do everything new and I need to be a totally different person. And it really just comes back to like, who are you? believing that you're worthy, being your authentic self. That came out a lot. Like being like really, Jamie Kern-Lima talked about really digging into believing that you are worthy, but believe like looking at who you are, your authentic you, and growing where you're planted. And if you're planted here, like if you're frustrated or you were to let something take you out this year and you were deciding to go do something new, let's say a different industry, like maybe the same industry, but something different because you thought you were going to have a different outcome, you're just taking you in that same spot. It's just a different environment. He's like, I want you to grow your planted. I want you to be the authentic you. I want you to go, what does it look like to reinvent yourself? Like, what is your why? Like, we're going to bloom in this next year and we're going to do it together. It was really, really, really powerful. So thank you, Mandy, for sharing. Okay, so let's do this the best that we can. I would love for people to take turns. So somebody hop off mute, whoever does it first, off. And I think Trent raises it. Just hop off mute. You should be able to unmute yourself. Share your biggest takeaway and your action coming out of the event.
All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Trent, and Amy's on here too. She was not able to attend the event this weekend. She was nice enough to stay home with the kids. We have 5 daughters, so she had her hands full for sure. So it was kind of interesting, right? Because I've been to an event before, but it was virtual. So the first time I went to the virtual event, we actually went to Steve and Stephanie's house, which was awesome for them to open that up for us. Did not know what to expect, right? So went there, and it was exactly what I needed. Heard JM3, right, for the first time ever, and really spoke to me about some things that I needed to hear. However, he does a routine, and I could not participate in part of it. I looked to the person who brought me, and I just told him, I said, I'm not ready to face this yet. Because in that routine, you basically face a memory or something that had happened that basically was devastating, right? Something that affected you negatively. And I wasn't ready to face it. So since then, I've been trying to work on that. And so Thursday night, right, fast forward an hour, or rather Friday night, whenever Brian was asking everybody, hey, what do you expect to get from this event? In my mind, I was thinking, I don't know. I don't have to think of what I'm going to expect. I know what I'm going to get. Because I was excited to hear that JM3 was going to be there again. I was like, I can face that demon now. I can do this. So I thought I knew what I was in for, but I didn't. So sure enough, JM3 comes up, and luckily enough for me, he went through that routine again, and I was able to face that and to overcome that and feel what that felt, to go through that fully and open myself up. So with that being said, everything that followed after, I didn't expect, right? It was totally different being there in the environment, being there with the team. And I found a few things out about myself and about the people around me. We all need loved. We all want to be loved. You can ask my family and those around me, I don't know how to send that out, right? Or at least I didn't until this weekend. I also learned that I don't know how to receive it, right? So we did that routine, what I'm calling a routine, but where you turned to whoever was beside you and you looked into their eyes and you sent them love, right? You didn't say anything, but you just looked into their eyes, into their soul, and tried to send them love. And in my mind, whenever we're doing this or started to do it, I was like, oh, I got this, right? Spent a lot of hours around a poker table in my younger years. I can stare anybody down that I want to, right? But that's not sending them love. Turned to the lady next to me, and we lock onto eyes just for a few seconds, and she got nervous and turned away. And I was just like, in my mind, I was like, okay, yeah, still got this. I got the lockdown right. Well, then she brought her eyes back, and as soon as she locked onto mine, I looked away. I didn't know how to receive it, right? It was different. I could feel myself being different. It wasn't the normal, make this person nervous. It was totally different. But the point to that is, whenever we're talking to people and we feel rejected, or we feel that no, or we feel like we're not getting our point across, just know they probably don't know how to receive what we're trying to send out. Whenever we're really trying to help somebody, it may take locking onto them 2 or 3 times in order for that to happen. And whenever someone's coming to us trying to offer their help or give their love, let's try to be open to it and know that they're truly doing it from their heart. Because unfortunately, in this society, this day and time, I don't think that's a common thing. In fact, I know it's not a common thing. So that was a huge thing for me to learn. That just really stuck out to me is I need to learn how to project love in a way that it can be received, and just know whenever it's not received immediately, don't give up, because more than likely that person just doesn't know how to accept that love. So that's pretty huge for me, and it's definitely something I'm gonna have to continue to work on. It was amazing, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to be there. There is a lot more that I'd like to share, but I'm not going to take up everybody else's time because I'm sure that they're going to hit it all. But it was great being able to see everybody, and thank you for the kindness that you guys showed me. And hopefully we'll see you at the next event.
I love it, Trent. Trent makes a good point because, listen, we want to share with you what it was like, and you're going to hear some different nuggets, and we've got a fun action step at the end. But that date that I gave you for more, I want you to I'm going to ask you to pray about it. I want you to take action on it and get your ticket, but I also want you to be mindful. And if you're like, I don't know, I need you to hear him on that, because when you get together, we do these like actions, and we do these things on purpose to move people into a different state, to like you said, break through things, right? Or to learn how to receive or to give. Joseph said, he was in the airport, and, or if you're sitting in a restaurant, how many of you, raise your hand or drop a one in the chat. When you go to a restaurant, how many of you see families sitting around a table like this? Drop a one in the chat. If you anywhere, how many of you see people more looking down at a phone if you're not looking at the phone? And I'm guilty of this, right? And so he taught us something, and I love, we had to stare at each other's eyes, and we did different things. But one of the things he said was, he goes, people are in such a hurry that, what if you started looking up when you're walking through the airport, or, Steve and I go for walks in the morning, and my husband's really great at saying hi to people, or you're driving. And what if you just looked at people, and you looked at them, and you just said, I love you, not with your mouth, but like with your eyes, like you just looked at them and you just said, I love you, with your mind. And it's interesting because he talks about how it shifts people and they don't even know it, right? Like if you were to just I'm staring at all of you right now, and I'm just thinking, I love you. And he goes, what if we walked around and we did that to people instead of you're so in your own world? It will shift the environment. It will shift people. It was so powerful. It was one of my favorite parts. So I'm not going to keep yapping, but I want somebody else to share. Thank you for sharing, Trent. Who's next? Either raise your hand or unmute yourself.
Hey, Stephanie, this is Christina.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you go.
Awesome. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Christina Mealy from Ohio. And I'm a pretty upbeat person, typically. But when I was going to this event, I was faced with some setbacks, and I can tell you a phrase that I was sitting on the plane listening to my entire flight to the event was, don't bite the hand that feeds you. And I've always kind of felt like I've been different and unique, and I've been meant for more. And when people work with me, they can get a little bit intimidated because they're just like, you're so driven, you're so driven, you're so driven. And unfortunately, that part of me is creating a scarcity mindset with my current employer. And so that's where that phrase came from. So when I was coming to this event, I was just like, man, am I really going to be put in a situation where I have to choose? And there were so many takeaways in this event for me. But the one thing that I realize is, I should be working this as my full-time business and not my side gig or my part-time job. This can really be my full-time job. And on top of my job that I currently have. And we have an amazing community, and I really needed this connection, and it came at the perfect time for me. And so I'm so thankful for these events and getting there. And when we couldn't have had the most perfect speaker come in. So Jamie resonated with me to my core, and unfortunately I had to leave a little bit early because I had to catch a flight. But I wrote down several things that just really resonated with me. And one of the first things she said is, when you're feeling a little bit quirky and you're feeling a little bit different, it's because you're the first me in existence. And remember, embrace like your fitness, embrace where you are. And it's oftentimes the things that we think that are wrong with us that are actually what is right with us. And that just kind of hit with me, because oftentimes I'm afraid to go do that live because I'm insecure of, what are they going to think of me? What is my employer? Because I know that they're watching, and all of these things. And I'm just like, no, like, a lot of these things are right with me, because that is what's different about me. And that is what makes me me. And she also said, your power comes when you are who you are and when you can be with another human being as yourself. And that's when you're most powerful. And so I just thought to myself, it's really all about understanding who I am and really going back to my why. And she said, know your why, fly girl, fly. And that also resonated with me. And I would love to see her come back, because I felt like I didn't get quite enough from her. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, she just had several comments that just stuck with me from a business perspective. Setbacks or setups. Self-worth becomes your ceiling. You can take all the steps and all the actions, but if you don't believe that you're worthy of it, you're going to fall to your level of where you believe your worth is. And she was just so good. I just took so much from her. And I just want to thank everybody for connecting during this event and being who you authentically were in the event, because that is what makes us prove it. So thank you.
So good. Jamie Kern-Lima has a book coming out called Worthy. And I'm sure everybody in the audience grabbed it. I would highly recommend going to pre-order the book, because it's going to be incredible. All right, who's next? Unmute yourself and you can share.
I'll go.
Oh,
Oh, go ahead, Tom.
We'll have Tom go and then Lisa.
okay. All I wanted to say was it was, first of all, a very exciting event, probably one of the best events I've been to. And one of the things that I think has already been mentioned before is that it's the connections that you make while you're there, and being able to connect with like-minded people that are all doing the same thing that you're working towards is very, very valuable. And one of the things that makes that connection are the stories. And to be able to sit and listen to someone's story, because there's a lot of individuals that were there that have stories that they would love to tell. So by sitting around and listening to those stories helps make it a better event for them, and makes it a better event for all of the people listening as well. So we got a lot out of it just because of the stories that we listened to, the people that we met. And we were very, very excited about the entire event and the way it all went. And yes, Jamie Kern-Lima was very exciting and very good. She had some very good points. I loved every one of them, and I loved her 5 points. They're very, very good. And I agree with Mandy that she hit some points where you sit there going, "Oh, okay, I need to work on that." And it's all part of that reinventing ourselves. So don't be afraid to reinvent yourself, and don't feel like you have to start from the beginning to reinvent yourself. You might be perfectly good where you are, but to reinvent yourself, you may just need a tweak here and there that might make you a better person, and better where you want to be by just changing a few things instead of trying to change your entire process. So that's basically it. I could talk for a long time about all the things that we got out of the weekend, but that was basically the main thing I got, was the stories.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. All right, Lisa, you're up.
And that said, so I'm a firm believer in 90% of life is showing up. And this year I was afforded to be able to go to every event. I think I went to every event except for Seattle and Boston Playbooks. But other than that, I was at every one. I have no voice. I'm sorry. Anyway, so my biggest takeaway was it didn't even happen in the room. It happened in the lobby. I had met someone at the Atlanta Playbook She called me over to her table where her and her team friends, whoever they were sitting. And she was like, okay, Lisa, tell us your story. And I was like, I don't think anybody had ever asked, or I don't think I'd ever told my story to anybody. And I'm like, oh gosh, sweaty pits, the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, guys, I'm going to do this. It might be really long because I'm really bad at making things shorter. So to make a long story longer, so I sat there and I told them my story, and then they asked me all these questions and I answered them without hesitation. And I was like, I felt like Stephanie. I was just like, because to us, I know how Stephanie feels about this. I know Stephanie is nervous when she gets asked questions too, but she's been doing this a lot longer than I have. And I was just like, wow, I actually know what I'm talking about. Like it just gave me that extra added bonus of feeling empowered to build. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to get me my team, and I'm going to find my people, and we're going to move forward.
You're going to share your story with more people is what you're going to do.
Yes, that too.
I love that. I hope you're hearing that everybody that shared something has to do with hearing people's stories, connecting. Like it gives you a reason to share, but when you're connecting with people in the hallways and in the lines, you can't help but use your voice to connect with somebody. And it gives you that extra boost to go, oh, I'm like them. They're like me. I can do this. We're different. And yet we're team prove it, which is powerful.
Exactly.
All right. Who else would like to share? Unmute and you're up.
I'll go. Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey. I'm from New Hampshire. And this was my second Epik. And it probably was one of the more powerful events that I've been to. I've been to a few so far. And I think one of the biggest things that always sticks out to me is how friendly everybody is, especially being like a worldwide event where people from all over the world are coming to the same place to gather, whether there's language barriers or communication, can be a little shaky when there's language barriers, but everybody's so open and welcoming, and people are super eager to help. And every single training that we had this weekend was incredibly powerful. I got so much value out of it. I took some notes here, and I think one of my biggest take forwards is to focus on my why. And I think my why's evolved a little bit over the last almost 2 years that I've been doing this with Prove It, in a very good way. But just to keep going and keep focusing on the future, and keep pushing forward. I originally started this for fat loss and to basically just be healthier and get healthier, more fit, and be a better version of myself. That's definitely what I've been doing. And I keep saying this, and I keep finding myself repeating this throughout the weekend, was that I needed the community more than I thought. I thought I was just in this for the product and to lose some fat and be healthier, but the community is really what I needed, especially when I first started. I needed that support system. And just like the overwhelming love in the room from everybody was just so incredible. And if you haven't ever been to an in-person event, or you're on the fence, or you thinking maybe you need to save up, definitely do it. It will be so worth it, so worth the expense, so worth the time, and getting time out of your schedule, or setting up babysitters and stuff, or in my case, dog sitters. But so worth it. I highly recommend it. And this was the first event where another event was announced, and I actually right away bought my ticket to more. So I'm gonna go to more. So hopefully I'll see you guys all there again. And some new faces too. So it was really nice to see everybody. And
Thank you for sharing. I love that. I think I heard more people say, I got my ticket. I can't wait for more. I got my ticket. I'm already registered. So Audrey, we're so excited to see you at more. Thank you for sharing. Who else would like to share? I know there's some more of you on here that have some takeaways and Any action steps coming out of the event?
You guys hear me all right?
Yes, you're up.
Hey, this is Aaron from Washington State. This is my first Epic. I attended more last year, and just like Trent was talking about, I wasn't willing to play full out when he was doing the exercise with connecting with your inner child. I wasn't willing to do that, and obviously I wasn't ready for it. And when Jamie did that activity where she was walking around the room, had her close her eyes, put her hand on her chest, and I don't know, something happened and I just lost it, uncontrollably, emotions flowing. And I think that was my release. And also the other thing, looking into the eyes of a complete stranger, and I wanted to play full out for this event. So when they said switch seats next to somebody you've never met before, I went and sat next to a gentleman, and looking in his eyes, I immediately looked away. I couldn't do it, and I just kept laughing. And then finally towards the end, I was able to keep eye contact and send him love and receive that love. And I've always struggled with being able to receive love. I give a lot of love, but I'm not able to receive it. So those are some huge things that I took away from this weekend.
Do you feel like you received it?
I do, truly.
Just so you know, I'm watching you and I just feel like I can feel, you just feel super like genuine. And I don't know, I didn't get a chance to talk to you there, but I will tell you, I think it's amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I love it. All right. Who else would like to share?
Hey, Stephanie, I'll share.
All right.
Hey, hi, hello, how are you? It is Coach Rebecca McCarthy from New Hampshire. And I've actually really wanted to share this takeaway in the COC room and things. But I was on mom duty, and so I'm excited to share with all of you here. Something happened this weekend, an awareness happened for me. And it was really, really powerful. And it's something that I haven't faced or even thought about in years, right? And so Jamie Kern-Lima said something. She talked about hiding in plain sight. And I'm pretty sure it was her that brought us back to the first time in school when you knew the answer to a question, but you wouldn't raise your hand and say it. And bringing back that memory and that feeling of I know the answer, I know what I should be doing, but I'm afraid of what other people are going to think, or what, what I mean, if I say something wrong or I do it wrong. And this idea of hiding in plain sight, right? And I know my husband was really touched by your husband when he shared vulnerably, and that was really cool to witness. But what happened for me was this awareness of I can hide in plain sight in my everyday life really easily. When I go to Prove It events, I can't. It doesn't matter who it is that's walking through the hallway. It doesn't matter if I know them. It doesn't matter if they've ever seen my face before. It doesn't matter. You literally cannot hide in plain sight at Prove It events because you're seen. They genuinely see you, they feel you, they look you in the eyes, right? And it's this space where no one has to hide in plain sight or feel like they, that child who can't raise their hand because what if I say or do something wrong, right? And so it came full circle for me when I had this awareness that there are more people out there that are feeling that way, and we have a safe space. Prove It is a safe space for people to be seen and to be loved. And like I just, it was really, really big for me. Like I want, I think it was when Courtney was sharing when the Empire was up receiving Jessie Lee's award. She said like she sold trial packs to get people into the seats at events. Like that was her, she sold trial packs, right? But her long-term vision and goal was to get people into the seats at events. And events change people. If people get into a room, I just heard 2 shares, right? Where like you get into a room with other provers, and they see you and you can't hide from that, right? And so that is something that like I want to invite more people to come and experience, because it's not happening out there in the world. In our everyday life, you said it, people are looking at their phones, you're not being acknowledged, you're not being seen genuinely, and everyone deserves to be seen and not hide in plain sight. So
I love it. So good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right, why don't we do a couple more, and then I'm going to give you an action step to end the night with, and then we will, there'll be another all promoters, everybody on Thursday. So make sure you check your pulse, because it actually has the More event in your pulse. So it is in Louisville, Kentucky. And it does have we're going to do a Thursday night call with everybody and Prove It. So there'll be some more shares and takeaways. But is there anybody else that would like to share, that wants to raise their hand? I am looking.
I'll share. Can you hear me?
All right, Britt.
My nephew's in the background, so he might come over and say hi, just a heads up. Brittany from Austin. I actually had like a really emotional weekend. And I'm not going to like break down and cry, because I've already talked to several people, and I just want to thank every single person that I had a conversation with. But my biggest takeaway this weekend, and I'm going to keep it short, is life is always going to give you like what you're willing to settle for. That was like my biggest takeaway, if I could wrap it up in one sentence, like personally, with friendships, with business, with everything. And so from a business standpoint, because we are talking about that, if you're not happy with where you're at, you need to get to an event. I'm telling you, it's just a different type of energy, and it's a different type of feeling that the people that were maybe watching virtually are hearing the takeaways. Like, yes, you're hearing it secondhand, but until you go, you don't really know what you need. And I went for something like wondering why my business is stuck, wondering why it's plateaued, wondering why it's here, why it's there. And I wound up leaving with what I needed. And that was to recognize like, hey, I'm in a really dark place, or have been in a dark place this year. And because of that, like everything else has struggled, right? Like if we're not happy within ourselves and we don't have this energetic and spirit within ourselves, we can't even give that love to other people. And quite frankly, like I haven't loved myself this year. And so that was a big realization for me. I told you I'm not going to cry. So I just would say, like, number one, you have to just get there, and bring people with you, because it's so much more than just about a powder packet that we carry. It's truly about just becoming like the best version of yourself. And I know that just seems super cliche and a play on words, but you're not going to know what we're talking about until you go. And just every event is different. I'm sorry, you can probably hear them, but I've been to 4, I've been to 5, I've been to 6 Epics, and like I'm always in a different season of my life every time I go. So it's just, we never really know what we need. And I just know that like I've been in a lot of valleys this year personally with everything. And I know that it's my time to shine. I know that it's my time to really go on my own run. And part of that is being whole within myself. Part of that is being happy within. Part of that is shedding different people that are around me, friendships, whatever the case may be, changing my environment, really focusing on we are who we surround ourselves with. And again, life is always going to give you what you're willing to accept. Like it's a choice and we choose that. And again, that goes for business, that goes for personally. And so I know that some of this might not make sense because some of you don't know my story, and I'm not going to go into that on here. But it's just, I can't like preface it, like really emphasize it enough. Like you just have to go. And until you go to an event, you're never going to experience our community, but just keep going. You're going to continue to grow as a person. I learned a lot this event that like growing this business has more to do with being a servant leadership, and like, what can we give to other people? And to be honest, like it's hard to admit out loud, but I've been selfish this year. It's been all about like me and how I can raise my own paycheck instead of serving others and just giving to give and not expecting anything in return. So I know that's all over the place, but that's just kind of what's on my heart without going into details of my story. But I truly hope every single person that's on this call, like you make the commitment today to just go. Do yourself a favor, just go online and just grab a ticket. It doesn't matter if you don't know the details yet. It doesn't matter if you don't know how you're going to make it happen. But if you want it to happen, like part of that is making the commitment now to yourself. Part of that is investing in yourself in this moment right now and manifesting and making 2024 better by making a decision today. Like, I don't even know how I'm going to get there. I don't know flights. I don't know if I can get off from work, but I'm going to figure it out. Because I know that as a person, as a human being, as a leader, as a sister, as a daughter, as an aunt, like I deserve it. And so does our team. So anyways, that's all I have.
It's so good, Britt. I love it. I got the opportunity to spend a lot of time with Brittany, so it was so great. A couple of things that she said, I would say this, it was said from stage, it might've been from Brian or from a whole bunch of leaders. If you want to win, how do you win? You help other people win, right? And that could be, you help your customers win. Like you win. You heard Brittany say it, like she felt like she was selfish this year, and she's not. She gives a lot, but in her own mindset, she feels that way. How do you win? You help other people win. And I want you to think about this real quick. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to give you an action step, but I want you to think about the next event in person on a big scale, Prove It, isn't until April, right? So we've got a good amount of time to save up money, to figure things out, to find sitters. So I would commit. But I don't want you to feel like, well, shoot, what do I do until April? So we've got the virtual playbook coming up, and then there might be other playbooks popping up from now until then. And I want you to actually commit to hopping on these huddles. Like I want you to commit to part of what Brian said is like, if you want to play your bigger role at Prove It, if you want to contribute, what does that look like? And that looks like raising your hand and hopping on the Zooms and, hey, here's my story. Hey, Stephanie or Mandy or Justin or the Webbs or Katie or whoever, like, hey, maybe you're like, I want to be heard and I have a great story. Shoot a 90-second video, send it to your leader, and we can send it out in the pulse. Like your story can be heard and your story can be used amongst the community, and you can make a video and we can all share them, right? Or, hey, I want to share on the next Zoom, or hey, can I host a Zoom, or hey, how can I be used? How can I serve? Because part of that is you also raising the level of like your leadership. You lead yourself, but you lead others around you. And we want to hear from you and serving others. So anyways, that was a lot. So here's what I want you to do. Here's the last part of it. We are doing a challenge together as Prove It. Really quick, drop a 1 in the chat. We do this often, or 2, I don't know, drop a 1. If you have any extra ketones in your home, anything like besides the ketones you were physically drinking, if you're like, yeah, listen, I've got some trial packs to sell. Yes, listen, I've got some ketones on my shelf. Yeah, I've bought a lot. Okay. So write down this hashtag. The hashtag is give a pack. Hashtag, all one word, give a pack. And what they talked about from stage was, hey, what would it look like if you committed to, because we all, listen, I am the first one to say, sell your ketones, sell your trial packs, don't give them away for free. But I also know the power of what happens if you did give a pack. What happens if you drove across town to somebody that you used to work with, or your daycare provider, or a teacher that you know, or the mail lady, or your favorite checkout person at Target, although we usually check ourselves out, but you know what I mean? So hashtag give a pack. And here's what it looks like. Let's say you decide your own number. Some people at the event committed to a box, right? And they said, I'm committed to making a post on social media, to sending a message to the lady that does my hair, to, man, think about people locally. Think about people locally within and like you driving to them. And what happens if you made a post on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, or you did a Facebook Live or a story and you said, hey, everybody, hey, local friends, like what I'm going to do is go and listen, I'm in a new environment. I don't know a lot of people where I live. So I'm going to have to really try to figure out where I'm going to find these people. But hey, local friends, with like a little like alert sign, I'm doing some errands today. Who's never tried ketones? I'm going to bring you a pack and I'm going to shake it up for you. Or hey, local friends, hey, I'm out and about. Who's never tried ketones? I've got a couple packs. I want to drop some off to some people. And I want you to think about like, what do you mean? I'm going to just give them a pack? Yes. I want you to think about, let's say that you've been wanting to talk to like anybody in the chat. If there's somebody that you're like, somebody in my local area, who would you talk to? Just in the chat. Let's do this together. Who are some people within your local environment, people that you know, teacher, friend, neighbor? I'm thinking of the lady that does my hair. And who could you go bring a packet to? And this is what you're going to do. You're going to bring them a packet, not just hand it to them and go, let me know what you think. You might have to bring a water bottle or ask them if they have a water bottle or a shaker bottle. And you're going to physically go show them how to shake it up, and then take a picture with them. And here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to be like, hey, would you be open to taking a picture with me? And will you post it on Facebook? Will you tag me? Hey, thank you, Stephanie, for dropping off some ketones. I'm so excited to try these today. Think about if you did that in your local environment, people around you. Do you think that you might get some other people watching, some friends, maybe somebody at the salon sees you shaking it up for your hair lady and she's like, what are you doing? And so we want to get it out into our community. And if you were to do a couple shakeups or, hey, a couple give a packs, you took a picture, use the hashtag, you never know. You never know who's watching you or the person that tagged you, the person that's with you. They're going to experience it for the first time. It's going to bring you that joy of like when you first drank ketones, right? I don't know if you had an experience like I did, but my very first pack of ketones, I called my husband and I was like, oh my goodness, I feel incredible. I didn't need a nap. I legitimately felt unbelievable. And I was like, whatever this stuff is, because just so you know, at that time, when I had ketones, we were back ordered for 6 weeks. And I said, don't you dare give those ketones away because I can't share them with anybody. I actually need them, but we can help other people experience that. Does that make sense? Give a pack. I want you to raise your hand because I'm looking at the actual screens. If you're committed to giving at least one pack, like, I think this is so fun. It's really going to be a stretch for me. I'm like, where am I going to find people in Florida that even know who I am? So I'm about to get out of my comfort zone. We're going to challenge you to get out of your comfort zone. Hold on. I need to mute somebody. And that's your challenge for today. So use the hashtag give a pack. It's going to be super fun. Plus it's the season of giving, right? So I want you to, I'm going to assume that a majority of the takeaways we all heard was, hey, guess what? You need to get to an event, but also from now until then, we're going to create events. And I know it's not in person, but I really want you to play full out. I want you to be plugged into the team, plugged into your pulse. Don't disappear over the next 3 weeks. Like, stay focused, like enjoy your family, but stay also like have fun on social media, share with people what you're doing, take them on the journey with you, be your authentic self. And you will, the last thing I'm going to say is this. Mandy Mitchell's son said this, and he said, I feel like I've been chasing butterflies. Like, he goes, I feel like I've been chasing people. How many of you ever feel like you're chasing people instead of like, why can't they just come to me? Right. And he goes, I had this like reality checker. He goes, I have to plant my own garden. I need to start sharing me, my authentic me, the things that bring me joy, and the butterflies will come to me because I'm attracting the people that I attract. And I was like, Jackson, that is so wise. And so we all get to bloom this next year together. I'm super excited. I want to say thank you for tuning in. Continue to watch your pulse. Go grab your ticket. We'll see you on Thursday night and have fun with a give a pack hashtag. And I know that you're all going to meet some incredible divine appointments as you go out into your local communities and share ketones with people. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for everybody that shared, and have a wonderful night. Bye, everybody.